When I was first brainstorming this, one of the little things I scribbled on the board was Reiki, R-E-I-K-I, a natural healing technique. And I could not imagine how that could relate, but it sort of developed over time, so I'll give it a go. Now, this is how this developed for me. I don't consider myself a Christian, but I probably read more of the Bible than most people who claim to be Christians. And I was having terrible trouble at one time with obnoxious people. That's another story. And I remembered I'd come across something, so I looked it up again. And it's in the Sermon on the Mount, which is to be found in the book of Matthew. And it still mystifies me a bit. Like I said, I'm not a Christian, I'm certainly not a preacher, so I'm going to stumble through the little bit that grabbed me. And it starts Matthew chapter 5 verse 43. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbour, and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Love your enemies, that's a bit of, huh? What? Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for those which despiseth thee. I love this. Despitefully use you and persecute you. That ye may be children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh the sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Now, that doesn't talk to me, I'm afraid, but I've read it all out. So if you say, yes, okay, I don't relate to whatever the inspiration is behind, but I can sort of see what it's driving at. But this mystified me. I read this while I was having terrible trouble, and it says, love your enemies. What? Them? So I threw a tantrum. I said, what's the use of this? It's just like everything else. It's about avoiding conflict and letting the obnoxious people get away with being obnoxious. So it sat on the shelf for another 4 years and collected dust. And then I went back and read it again. And it sort of hung on. There must have been something to it. Now, at around the same, I forget the order of events, but around a similar time, I don't know, I didn't think to do this for myself, but a relative suggested it to me, and I went to a Reiki workshop. In fact, I've done 2 levels of it. Just to show you, here's a book. The purists will hiss at that, because Reiki's not something that can be studied in anything like the way we conduct formal education. You'd have to do it to find out. And why I'm relating this is, as I said, I was very, very grisly about what was happening. And I had some background in what would you call it? Yoga, basically. And so I decided And this takes some effort that I'm not going to explain, a lot of time and effort and dedication. And I got myself into a state where I could make a request to the cosmos for something. And I'd done this several times before, and the response was, I don't need these, that was just for reading. The response was, oh look, humans aren't ready to have that released on them yet. No, you can't have it. So this time I got up to this point, and in words it would have been, I demand power of life and death, because I'd had a gut full of these. I wanted to bring them to a stop in their tracks, and I didn't care if I killed them. And there was a silence for a while, and I thought, this will be good. I wonder what the excuse is this time. And a strange thing happened that is very, very rare for me. These things just don't happen to me. But I got a response back, and in words it would be, you already have it. What? How can that be? And strangely I got another reply, which if I translate into words would be, the power to heal and the power to kill are one and the same. Which just stunned me senseless. That was the end of that experience. And so for the next few weeks I asked myself how that could be so. And I realised eventually, I'd done these Reiki workshops, I had Reiki. And so that was the power to heal. I thought, how can you kill someone using that? I'd been assured by the masters that ran the workshops that you can't do any harm with Reiki. And then I realised that it's not about me. I found a bit more sort of whiteboard space. Reiki. If you want to send this to someone else, I mean, you use it on yourself. You're meant to use it on yourself, lots. You can send it to someone else. If you have second level, there's a sending technique. And so, wrong colour. Here's you. You have Reiki. Not sure what you can see there. We'll see how it comes out. And here is the one you're sending Reiki to. This one's been causing you trouble. And so you send, and it gets to them. I should point out that, here's the right time to do that. To do this, you don't have any intention of your own. You simply identify your target, get back in your centre, and apply the technique. Do not get tangled up in the stuff, or it can go astray. Yeah. And it can be worse for you. So that's the main thing. Now, what happens the other end? What happens the other end? In some way they'll sense that this is being directed towards them, and whoever you're sending this to, you would normally send this to someone who's suffering some kind of illness or injury or something like that. And it will be to accelerate their recovery. Now, if you send it to someone who's an adversary of yours, or anyone, even if someone is sick, it's their decision whether they accept it or not. And someone who is adverse to you will say, "Ugh, you," and reject it. You see, if they accept it, I'll go back a bit. This stuff, Reiki, the way I see it, look, it's one of those things where those who say they know how it works, those who are saying don't really know. Those who really know are not saying. So I'm sort of taking a chance here. It proceeds from the heart centre. Everything that comes out from the heart centre is perfectly balanced. Getting back to the Bible, the way you could relate to it, I propose is, in the Lord's Prayer it says, give us this day our daily bread. Everything in the Bible is symbolic. It's not about what you put on your table and eat. What is your daily bread? And I have some speculation that it's the stuff that proceeds from your heart centre. You divide it up and allocate it according to your preferences, and it circulates out there and eventually comes back to you and so on. So the thing to remember is, as it proceeds outwards from there, it is perfectly balanced. And so this, whether it's someone you're trying to help or someone who's causing you trouble, offers them an opportunity to rectify. It has a rectifying influence. Now, if these reject it, it takes a lot of effort to hold it off in the first place. And the thing is that if they try to send it back, no, I'll use the same colour. If they say, no, don't want it, it's already been sent. And what can happen, I speculate, is that this, because this is going this way, will come round and rebound on them. And if they have adverse intent towards you, that'll come back to them magnified. This is how they can suffer serious damage without you lifting a finger. You don't have to have any combative sort of intention at all. It's best you don't. They do it to themselves. People with good intentions, I don't know. No one ever says anything, but because I had this, and it just sort of emanates the whole time, someone with good intentions towards me will send this attitude out, and it will reflect off me back onto them magnified. This can be of benefit to someone. I don't know whether they're conscious of what they're doing, but anyway, they can bounce things off me to their benefit. Obnoxious people bouncing things off me will be to their detriment. So this is someone who has been to the workshops, got their attunements done, and they can execute this technique. I'll take that a little bit further before I go back. This can be happening in real time. If you once you've done first level, no, first level's for yourself. Once you've done second level, you can send. So this can be in real time, or because in the psychic world, time and distance are no object, you can send to things in the present that are in a different location. You could ring me up and say, someone you know has been in an accident, they're in hospital in Rockhampton, can you rush and do some Reiki on them? I said, I don't have to rush. I know who they are. Distance is no object. I can send. So that's space. Time. I found this great. You find something that's... I was talking, if you've seen my video about the psychological aspects of this, if you go digging and you find stuff inside yourself, you can use this technique to go to work on it. You don't have to go through the whole psychotherapy to work with it. Once you identify it, you just stay back in your centre, send to it, discharge it. You do have to be prepared for, what do they call it? Discharges? I had the word a few minutes ago. Anyway, there can be after effects, emotional after effects, all that sort of thing for the next few weeks. But it's rarely serious. It's just this stuff dissipating. If I go back, was that? Yeah, time, distance, time. Yeah, you see, this could have been set in you decades ago. But the time doesn't matter. You can send backwards in time to some event that occurred then and release yourself from the trauma of it. You can even send forwards in time to something you know is going to happen. And you can allocate this to affecting the way it unfolds, is the theory. So once you've got second level, you can do all these sorts of things. I think I've covered most of that. I want to go back. Just suppose you've got a teenager who's distressed about what's happening, and you see a pamphlet, or you do an online search or look in the yellow pages, and you find a Reiki therapist. And their pamphlet will say, a treatment will tend to reduce stress, promote relaxation, blah, 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 blah. Well, it might. It might. But don't think you're all calm now. You go to school Monday, everything will be fine. Well, you might be less susceptible to being upset by what happens, but it won't prevent things from happening. That'll still happen. There's no magic wand. A practitioner should advise you that the after effects of this treatment will be circulating for anything up to the next 3 weeks, during which time you can experience releases. That was the thing I called them discharges before. Releases, they call them. You see, energy from unresolved events gets stored in the body, believe it or not. Most often in the muscles. The skeletal muscles. And that's the physical aspect to it. You've got huge emotional stuff that you're carrying around. And so for the next 3 weeks, you could have these releases. And they can be emotional sorts of things, like you might scream or cry or throw a tantrum. You might spend lengths of time just staring blankly into space. All these sorts of things. Or it could be physical, you might jump and you won't know why, Or you might clench your teeth, or, don't be surprised at anything that happens. And don't say, why you're throwing a tantrum, why you're crying. Don't cry. We just had you fixed up. You're not to cry. Yes, well, getting fixed up is causing the crying. Crying's good. Crying's a release. So don't be surprised at any of that if you get it done. They should tell you about it. For this to have an effect on the situation you're in, it's probably going to take years. before it's really effective. Trying to think if there's something else I should have mentioned. Sending treatments. They should tell you, just be wary not to become dehydrated. Drink an adequate amount of water. Don't go overboard. No need to, just normal. But this is what I've heard. Avoid becoming dehydrated. I think that's most of it. I'll close this down now and see what else I remember.